You are listening on Gardenstory. If you enjoy it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Wishing you happy listening. Witnessing my newborn brother being swapped, I did nothing. Because in my past life, I risked everything to keep my brother safe, only to have my face destroyed by that villain. Years later, my brother fell for a poor girl our family was supporting. To secure the only direct university admission spot for her, he didn't hesitate to run me over with his car. With eyes full of resentment, he said, "Don't blame me, sister. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too selfish, not giving up the admission spot for Jade." He even mocked me, saying an ugly creature, like you getting disfigured, is exactly what you deserve. What you did is worthy of the pain you must endure. Reborn into a new life, I chose to stand by with folded arms, coldly watching my brother get swapped. I was awakened by the cry of a newborn. As soon as I opened my eyes, I discovered I was slumped over a hospital bed. Beside me was my mother, who had just given birth to my brother, sleeping soundly. I quickly realized I had been reborn, returning to the day that villain planned to swap my brother. To confirm my suspicion, I looked toward where the newborn's crying came from. Sure enough, I saw the villain removing the gold bracelet from my brother's wrist, about to put it on his own son's hand. Because his movements were too rough, my brother screamed in tears. The man looked annoyed and slapped him hard, knocking my brother unconscious. Immediately after, he seemed to sense something and looked in my direction. I quickly shut my eyes, pretending to be fast asleep. Unlike my past life, when I was only 3 years old, I had tried desperately to cling to his legs to prevent him from swapping my brother. He kicked me flying into the wall, breaking several of my bones. I endured the pain, struggling to scream for help, finally managing to call a nurse over. He resented me for ruining his plan, grabbed a knife and slashed my face several times. "My son can't have a good life, so you shouldn't dream of living in peace either." From then on, I was disfigured, suffering from illness for a very long time. It wasn't until I was 9 years old that I could attend first grade alongside my brother. At school, because of my ugly face, I was mocked and bullied constantly. Even my parents and brother looked at me with eyes full of disgust, as if my very existence brought them shame. I could only study hard, hoping to get into a good university, find a good job, and leave the family to live a different life. But I never expected that in my senior year, when I earned the only direct university admission, my brother would run me over with his car, because of the poor girl our family was supporting, just to help her. Before I died, he told me with eyes full of hatred, "Don't blame me, sister. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too selfish, not giving up the admission spot for Jade." He even ridiculed me, saying an ugly creature like you getting disfigured is exactly what you deserve. What you did is worthy of the pain you must endure. But I was disfigured because I saved him. Even more shocking, after my parents learned what he had done, they didn't scold him but instead helped him dispose of my body. At that moment, I vowed in my heart that if I could do it over again, I would definitely respect my brother's fate and never interfere again. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had gone by. That day, my whole family went to a temple fair. Someone suddenly bumped into us and stole Victor Chen's phone, my fake brother. With just a glance, I recognized the thief was actually my real brother. He had changed so much compared to my past life. Skinny and dark, wearing filthy clothes, walking with a limp, looking utterly miserable. I suddenly recalled how in my past life, when he and his friends called me ugly, I had angrily shouted, "Don't say that. I got disfigured because I saved you." He had replied with contempt, "I never needed you to save me. Someone as excellent as me, even if adopted into a murderer's family, can still live well. Don't impose your moral burden on me." Now, seeing him living so well, I felt relieved. Seeing my parents about to chase after him, I quickly pretended to fall. After all, my real brother looked exactly like my father. If Dad saw him, he would surely suspect something. In this life, I wasn't disfigured and excelled in my studies. My parents, who valued appearances, now cared about me a bit more. They didn't chase the thief anymore and hurried back. "Serena, are you all right?" I watched my real brother gradually disappear into the crowd, quietly sighed in relief, then looked up at my parents and said, "I'm fine, just scraped my hand a little. It hurts a bit." As for Victor, my replacement brother, he was furious that his newly bought phone was stolen. He cursed, "That damned bastard. If I catch him again, I definitely won't let him off." I kept my head down and said nothing. This world is too small. I had to do something. Along the way, Victor kept looking around. When my parents went to the restroom, Victor suddenly said, "Sister, I spotted that bastard." After saying that, he shot off like a firecracker. Seeing my parents hadn't come out yet, I breathed a sigh of relief and ran after him. This time, because my real brother wasn't on guard, Victor quickly cornered him in a small alley. Caught, my real brother cursed and swore, "You rich people are so rotten, already so wealthy yet still so stingy, even calculating over a phone with me." His personality was truly no different from my past life, always blaming others, turning his own mistakes into other people's faults. Victor laughed angrily. "Being rich means I deserve to be seen as a fool." My real brother put on a tough act. All right, stop talking so much. Return the phone and let me go quickly. I'm not even of age yet. The police can't do anything to me anyway." Victor wasn't the type to be easily taken advantage of. His personality was exactly like his biological father's, didn't like studying, only liked fighting. He kicked once, sending my brother crashing into the wall. What a coincidence, I'm also underage. As long as I don't beat you to death. The police can't do anything to me either. My real brother began to panic. I stood there coldly observing, just like in my past life when my real brother had stood by watching his classmates bully me. When Victor was about to strike again, a girl suddenly ran over and blocked my brother. "Don't hit him anymore. Marcus Lee's father is seriously ill. He had no choice but to steal your money." Such a blatant lie. Marcus's father had never been seriously ill. When I clearly saw the girl's face, I frowned. What a coincidence, I knew her too. She was Jolene Gu, the person my brother had been infatuated with in my past life, and also the one who indirectly caused my death. I wasn't surprised she appeared here. In my past life, Jolene and Victor, my fake brother, were childhood sweethearts. Now Marcus and Victor had switched places with each other. My real brother had become Marcus, so naturally he also became Jolene's childhood sweetheart. At this moment, Jolene's eyes brimmed with tears, pitifully looking at Victor. "I'll have Marcus return the phone to you. Can you please forgive him?" Victor was originally a spoiled brat who never listened to anyone, but seeing Jolene cry, he softened. All right, stop crying. I'm not an unreasonable person." In that instant, I felt like I'd returned to my past life. When I earned the direct university admission, Jolene had also cried before Marcus like this. Marcus, a delinquent, became angry seeing his childhood sweetheart cry. He called a group of friends to humiliate me. He said he wanted to teach me a lesson, so I wouldn't dream of things that didn't belong to me. I resisted fiercely, but those filthy hands still wouldn't let me go. Not until the mask on my face was yanked off and they saw my face did they finally let go and curse. "Why is it such an ugly thing? Even if you gave this to me, I wouldn't want it. Damn, looking at this face makes me want to vomit." It was precisely my face that saved my life. When I got home, I showered for 4 straight hours. Not until my skin was scrubbed raw and torn did I finally stop, collapsing in the bathtub sobbing. I thought everything had passed, but after that, I had nightmares every night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that scene. Terrifying faces, disgusting foul odors, and those hands writhing like venomous snakes. Just seeing men on the street made me tremble. I threw up. I realized that event would never truly pass. How disgusting. A cold wind swept through. I shuddered. Victor noticed my expression, looked off, and casually asked, "Sister, what's wrong?" I glanced at him, hiding the disgust in my heart, about to say I was fine. Jolene suddenly grabbed my sleeve and knelt before me. "Sister, aren't you going to forgive Marcus? Please, I beg you to forgive him, he's already suffered so much." I looked at her carefully. She was truly the same as before, always putting herself in the weak position to morally bind others. Victor also urged, "Sister, just let it go." I calmly said, "I won't hold a grudge against a child, but I want to meet his mother. I want to remind his mother that she needs to discipline her son carefully. Right now it's just theft. If things continue like this, who knows what he'll do in the future." Hearing me say I wanted to meet his mother, the defiant, stubborn eyes of my real brother finally showed a glimmer of fear. I soon met my real brother's current mother, Miranda Zhao. She was a middle-aged woman with a shrewd appearance. When she saw Victor and me, she clearly showed panic. Obviously, she knew the truth about the baby swap from years ago. She looked around us, confirming no one else was with us, then reluctantly calmed down. "You two? What brings you here?" After I explained my purpose, she breathed a visible sigh of relief. Rest assured, I will discipline my son carefully. As soon as her words fell, my real brother shrank back. I nodded, meaningfully saying, "This time your son was lucky to run into us and my brother. If my parents had caught him, they wouldn't have let him off so easily." Hearing this, Miranda's face darkened. She said, "I understand. I will watch him closely and won't let him do bad things anymore." After speaking, she kicked my real brother into the room, conveniently locking the door behind him. "Stay in there quietly." After finishing everything, she turned to look at Victor with a flattering expression. "Young man, won't you come inside to sit? I just bought some fruit, and there's candy in the house too." Victor wrinkled his nose in disdain. "I'm not going in. This house looks filthy just from the outside." After saying that, he turned and left. Miranda wanted to chase after him to say something more, but ultimately held back. She turned back into the house. Just seconds later, my brother's miserable crying echoed from inside. Miranda apparently vented all her anger from Victor's rejection onto my real brother. After leaving the alley, Jolene waved goodbye to us, smiling sweetly and harmlessly. "Beautiful sister, and handsome brother too. Goodbye, beautiful sister." This way of addressing me from Jolene's mouth sounded so strange. When my brother ran me over with his car in my past life, she sat in the passenger seat. As I lay dying, she got out of the car, leaned close to my ear, and said the last words. "Ugly thing, your ending today is exactly what you deserve. Since you didn't listen to Marcus's warning, you can go die now." Now, when Victor saw her lingering appearance, he suddenly turned around, about to run back and say something. I gripped his hand tightly. "Come on, let's go home quickly. If Mom and Dad don't see us, they'll worry." In just those few short minutes, Victor had already developed feelings for Jolene. If the two continued to have contact, who knows what he might do for her in the future. I didn't want my past life to repeat itself. Victor reluctantly left with me. He didn't see that after we turned our backs, Jolene's innocent face suddenly darkened, no longer showing any trace of a harmless white rabbit. After that time, I never saw my real brother again. Perhaps Miranda had heeded my words. Through my own efforts, I once again earned direct admission to my dream university. This life, there was no delayed enrollment, no one standing in my way. I smoothly entered university. My parents even held a celebration party for my enrollment. At the party, facing the relatives' praise, my parents were full of pride and glory. But when Victor was mentioned, their expressions soured. Victor performed poorly in school and caused trouble all day long. Over the years, they scolded him, even hired tutors, but he remained unchanged. This was truly due to genetics. Who would have thought Victor's biological father, Vincent Lee, had the same personality? My father, unaware of the truth, consoled himself. "Victor is like me, a late bloomer. He'll definitely succeed in the future." My mother echoed him. "That's right, Serena dear, don't look down on your brother and make him sad." I nodded firmly. "I won't do that." I lowered my eyes, remembering how in my past life when my real brother called me an ugly thing no one would love, my parents not only didn't defend me but praised him for being clever, knowing how to curse and rhyme at such a young age. They even told me to stay away from my brother so he wouldn't have to look at my disgusting face and have nightmares. What a double standard. Fortunately, this time, because Victor was too useless, my parents decided to let me study business management to run the company. They knew clearly that handing the family business to Victor would eventually lead to losing everything. Better to let me manage it. I treated Victor very well. Every time my parents scolded or hit him, I stood up to protect him. Thinking of the day they would be gone, I would still take good care of him. That was also what I wanted. Reborn in this life, I understood clearly that only when I was strong enough would I not be bullied by anyone. I had to grasp everything I could to become stronger. I thought life would remain peaceful like this forever. But I never expected that one day, Miranda would proactively bring my real brother to our home. It started on Victor's third day of high school. He got into a conflict with a classmate and was beaten until his head bled. That classmate was none other than Marcus, my real brother. This was told to me by our housekeeper. She said, "Marcus's mother brought him to the house to apologize. To get your parents' forgiveness, she nearly beat Marcus to death, but your parents still refused to come down and meet them." She asked me, "Miss, do you want to go out and persuade Marcus's mother?" At that moment, I thought I'd misheard, so I asked again, "Mrs. Wang, what did you say was the name of the classmate who beat Victor?" "Marcus." I heard his father is a wanted fugitive for murder. Like father, like son. The father is a thug, the son is also a delinquent who loves fighting. Hearing this, I became even more certain the person seeking us out was my real brother. Years ago, that villain Vincent wanted to swap my brother with his son because he had just committed murder. To ensure that when caught, his son could still live well, he came up with that idea. I never expected that after all these years, Vincent still hadn't been caught. Even more unexpected was Miranda suddenly going crazy and bringing my real brother to our home. You must know my real brother looked exactly like my father. If my parents saw him, they would surely think about their son being swapped. Either Miranda felt guilt-ridden and wanted to swap the two children back. No, that wasn't right. If she truly regretted it, she wouldn't have beaten Marcus half to death like that. To clarify her intentions, I decided to go meet them, to meet my real brother. I planned to secretly meet them without letting my parents find out, then find a way to drive them away. But when I went downstairs, I happened to run into my parents stepping out of their room. My father saw me and said, "Serena, you came at just the right time. Come with us to meet that delinquent who dared to bully your brother. That little brat dared to hit our Victor. I definitely won't forgive him." My mother said indignantly. It seemed today my parents were determined to meet my brother. I quickly composed myself. Let's go. I was no longer that weak lamb letting others trample me. Even if my brother returned to the Chen family, he couldn't casually hurt me like in my past life. The moment I saw my real brother, I finally understood why Miranda dared to bring him before my parents. My brother had been disfigured. His face was covered with crisscrossing scars, as if hot oil had been splashed on it, making it nearly impossible to recognize his original features. Without even thinking, I knew this was Miranda's doing. At this moment, my brother had been beaten by her until he collapsed on the ground, his body covered in blood, his eyes full of resentment staring at us like an evil spirit just released from hell. When my mother saw him, she couldn't help but step back, clutching her chest and saying, "My goodness. What ugly thing is this? It scared me to death. If I'd known, I wouldn't have come down. Looking at this face, I'll definitely have nightmares." My mother's words triggered my real brother. He roared in rage, "Shut up. I wasn't ugly before. It was my mother who splashed hot oil on my face that made me like this. Why does everyone look at me like a pile of garbage? Don't ugly people deserve to live?" I coldly looked at my brother, remembering the last words he said to me in my past life. "An ugly creature like you getting disfigured is exactly what you deserve. What you did is worthy of the pain you must endure." Now, those words had come true on him. The cruel mockery that once fell upon me now fell upon him. Could this be considered karma? Facing my brother's accusations, Miranda pouted. "I didn't do it on purpose. You're just being petty." Then she turned to smile ingratiatingly at my parents. "I heard my son Marcus beat your precious son, so I brought him here personally to apologize and gave him a proper beating. I hope you can forgive him." She then took out 2 gift bags of supplements. "I heard your son is still in the hospital. I'm truly worried about him. I wonder if I could visit him at the hospital." So that was it. Miranda wasn't confident about her own son, so she boldly brought my brother here. As soon as she finished speaking, my brother immediately protested, his neck stiffening. I wasn't wrong. Who told him to mock me for being ugly and try to steal my Jolene? He deserved to be beaten. Miranda immediately grabbed a stick and struck his head hard. "Nuff. Will you stop or not? Who is Victor? He's the young master of the Chen family, born to be pampered by everyone. You're not even worthy of carrying his shoes. He insults you a few times, so what?" My brother looked at her with complete disappointment. "Are you even my mother? You always take outsiders' sides. Victor is just lucky enough to be born into a wealthy family. Do you really need to flatter him like this? Look at me. I got into that elite school based on my excellent grades, and the school even gave me a generous scholarship." As soon as the words left his mouth, he was struck with another blow by Miranda. "Shut up. So what if you have good grades? Victor will become a big boss in the future, while you're only fit to be his employee." My brother laughed coldly. "Him become a boss of what? He's just mud that can't stick to the wall. I heard the company will be inherited by his sister, not him." Miranda's expression immediately changed. She turned to my parents for confirmation. "Is this true?" My father said coldly. "This is my family's business. It has nothing to do with you." Miranda smiled obsequiously. "Mr. Chen, Listen to me. Daughters eventually get married and become outsiders anyway. The family fortune should be left to the son to inherit. She knew the fortune would be inherited by me, so she anxiously urged my parents to change their minds. After listening, my parents felt extremely displeased and said, "My fortune. I can give it to whomever I want. You have no right to interfere. Now get out." Seeing Marcus being disciplined so miserably by Miranda, my parents no longer felt the need to vent their anger for Victor. In the end, they drove Miranda out of the house without letting her see Victor, but I knew this wasn't over. I clearly saw the resentful look Miranda threw my way as she left. She surely thought I had stolen the company that should have belonged to Victor. Reborn in this life. I lived extremely cautiously. Immediately, I hired 2 bodyguards, one male and one female, to stay close to me at all times. After everything was arranged, I went to the hospital to visit Victor. On the way, I felt someone was following me. I turned around but didn't see anyone suspicious. Nevertheless, in my heart, I had already imagined who was following me. Arriving at the hospital, I found Jolene cooking porridge for Victor. I raised my eyebrows slightly. What a strange fate. People connected in the past life were now meeting again in this way. Seeing me arrive, Jolene quickly stood up, flustered. "Miss Chen, hello." Victor saw my cold expression and gently patted Jolene's hand to reassure her. "Sister, this is Jolene, my girlfriend." I nodded. "Jolene, please step outside for a moment. I have something I need to discuss privately with my brother." "Yes, you two take your time talking." Jolene forced a smile, her face looking sad as if I had just bullied her. After she left, Victor seemed displeased and said to me, "Sister, you don't like Jolene, do you? Let me tell you, she's a very good person, and she's ambitious. It's just that many girls at school bully her and steal her scholarship." "What scholarship? Aren't scholarships for students with good grades? How can they be stolen?" Victor didn't care. "That's true, but the students at our elite school don't lack money. Why would they need to compete for scholarships? Forget it." This person truly didn't understand, no different from my real brother in my past life. I didn't continue that topic, sat down and peeled an apple for him. "You should be careful about your safety during this time." Victor was surprised. "Sister, why do I need to be careful about safety? Recently, apart from Marcus causing trouble, I haven't had any problems. I heard he got a good beating from his mother. He probably doesn't have the strength to mess with me anymore." I toyed with the fruit knife in my hand, slowly saying, "Just now when I entered the hospital, there was someone lurking around your room door. When I approached, that person immediately left. He wore a baseball cap. I couldn't see his face clearly, but I noticed a mole at the corner of his mouth. Do you know, Marcus's father is Vincent, a wanted fugitive for murder, and he also has a mole at the corner of his mouth." "What? He wants to get revenge for Marcus." Victor began to panic. Even though he was a stubborn brat who didn't respect anyone, he always knew whom he shouldn't provoke to avoid serious consequences. Generally speaking, Victor cherished his own life very much. I looked at him and slowly said, "I have a way to thoroughly solve this problem." Victor's eyes lit up. "Sister, tell me." 10 minutes later, Victor called Marcus. His voice was weak. "Marcus, I probably won't survive much longer. I owe you an apology for what I did to you." Cough, cough. It was really too much. I don't blame you for fighting back. The phone was quickly snatched by Miranda. "Victor, you were fine just now. How can you suddenly be dying?" I don't know where my sister heard that my parents changed their minds and want to leave the fortune to me. Suddenly she brought 2 bodyguards and stormed straight into my hospital room. He coughed violently as if coughing up blood. I was stabbed several times. I'm hiding in the bathroom right now. By the time my sister's bodyguards break down the door, I probably won't survive. As soon as his words ended, the sound of violent door kicking echoed through the phone into Miranda's ears. She turned pale with panic. "You must hold on. I'll call your husband to come right away." She rushed into the bathroom and dialed a number she hadn't contacted in a long time. She didn't notice that Marcus, standing nearby after hearing the conversation, immediately changed expression. His hands clenched into fists, nails seemingly wanting to pierce deep into his flesh. Just 5 minutes later, the tightly closed hospital room door was brutally kicked open by someone outside. That person saw Victor lying peacefully on the hospital bed, initially stunned, then turned to leave. But it was too late. 2 bodyguards hiding behind the door swiftly delivered a kick, taking him down to the floor. The person's arms were twisted behind his back, pinned firmly to the ground, unable to move. I walked over and removed his baseball cap to look. I guessed correctly. The one following me was Vincent. Miranda knew my parents would leave the fortune to me, so she panicked and sent Vincent to kill me. Victor clearly saw Vincent's face and burst out laughing. Sister, you guessed right. Miranda wanted Vincent to redeem himself. She indeed sent him to save me. Is this your plan? Vincent's eyes turned bloodshot, looking like he wanted to tear me apart. He struggled violently but was held firmly by the two bodyguards, unable to move an inch. That's right. After calmly admitting it, I kicked repeatedly at his face and body. You still dare to come here? Go die already. Seeing his face covered in blood, with several bones in his body probably broken, I finally stopped. In my past life, wanting his biological son to live well, he had cruelly destroyed my entire life. In this life, I would let his son personally send him to prison. Vincent asked, "How did you know I would definitely come here?" I heard people say Marcus's father is a wanted fugitive for murder on the run. I searched for information about you online and also knew what you looked like. When I came here, I noticed you following me into the hospital. I knew you wanted to find my brother's hospital room, then teach him a lesson. I paused briefly, then continued. But I guessed that if you knew Victor was about to be killed, you would definitely want to save him. That way, you could redeem yourself. Even if caught, you'd get a reduced sentence and return to normal life sooner. In truth, I was only certain that if Vincent knew Victor was in danger, he would risk it to save him. As for the lies in Victor's phone call, I wasn't worried Miranda would be suspicious. She already believed I wanted to steal Victor's fortune, so my hiring someone to deal with him was reasonable. Victor got down from the hospital bed, kicked Vincent's head hard, then ground his face with his foot. Hemph, you fool. With that brain of yours, wanting to take revenge for Marcus, wait until your next life. Do you know? Vincent glanced at me, gritting his teeth and swallowing back the words he was about to say. Know what? Know that you'll spend the rest of this life in prison. Vincent couldn't speak, could only roar in rage. Victor jumped. Is he crazy? Not long after, the police came to arrest Vincent. Before leaving, he said to Victor, "You'll regret this." Victor coldly punched his face. At this point you still dare threaten me. Just sit quietly in prison. After the incident, Miranda called, Victor. You ungrateful wretch. Do you know what you just did? Victor laughed coldly. I know. Enforcing justice on behalf of heaven, helping the police catch a murderer. Stop calling me. Associating with poor people like you brings me bad luck. Without waiting for her to say more, Victor hung up. A week later, Victor was discharged from the hospital. Coincidentally, that day was also his birthday. My parents organized a grand party to ward off bad luck for him. On his birthday, many of Victor's classmates came to attend. I even saw Marcus. As soon as Victor spotted Marcus, he frowned. What are you doing here? I don't remember inviting you. Don't tell me you came to take revenge for your father. The two bodyguards beside him vigilantly stood in front of him. Nothing like that. Murderers like him should have been in prison long ago. What you did can also be considered enforcing justice on behalf of heaven. When saying this, Marcus's eyes flashed with a trace of malice mixed with barely noticeable satisfaction. Victor was half believing. Then what are you doing here? To celebrate my birthday. All the classmates came. I don't want to be isolated. Saying that, Marcus presented the birthday gift he had prepared for Victor. Victor didn't even look at it and tossed it aside. Fine, it's good you came. Just in time for you to see the difference between you and me. Don't overestimate yourself or dream about Jolene. Marcus's fist clenched tight, the muscles on his face tensing. I'll watch very carefully. His gaze lowered, concealing dark thoughts. A moment later, Jolene also arrived. Seeing her, Victor happily ran over, completely forgetting about Marcus's existence. Jolene still maintained her usual timid appearance. Hello, sister. I nodded slightly, my attitude neither warm nor cold, turning to instruct Mrs. Wang to keep an eye on Marcus. As I left, I heard Jolene whisper to Victor. Your sister doesn't seem to like me. That's not true. Don't be too sensitive. Let me tell you, my sister treats me very well. She'll definitely love whoever I love and treat my girlfriend well. Victor took a sip of wine. In the future, when Mom and Dad hand the company to my sister, we won't need to worry about our livelihood anymore. Jolene was startled. You're the son. Why won't your parents let you inherit the company? I have no business talent. If they gave the company to me, sooner or later all the assets would be squandered. Better to let my sister manage it and I'll just take money to spend. Jolene gripped her wine glass tightly, her fingertips turning pale, her gaze darkening. She looked at my departing figure, then at Victor getting dessert for her, pressing her lips together. After helping my parents entertain business partners, over an hour had passed. I was about to go upstairs to rest when I unexpectedly ran into Jolene at the staircase corner. What is it? Jolene stared at me intently. Sister, have I done something to displease you? I feel like you don't like me. That's right, I don't like you. So could you please stay away from me? Why would you? Jolene paused, not expecting me to be so straightforward. Regaining her composure, she suddenly smiled. You'll regret this. Immediately after, she stepped back. Sister, don't. Accompanied by an ear-piercing scream, Jolene fell down the stairs. Victor was the first to run over. Jolene, are you all right? Looking at Jolene in his arms, Victor's face was full of heartache. I'm fine. Jolene sobbed, her reddened eyes looking very pitiful. Don't blame your sister. She didn't do it on purpose. Perhaps she thinks I've stolen her beloved brother. So, what nonsense are you talking about? Victor frowned at her. My sister has never interfered with my romantic relationships. Jolene was stunned. You don't believe me? I raised my eyebrows slightly, looking at her with mocking eyes. She thought Victor would always take her side like before. But she didn't know that the relationship between Victor and me now couldn't be easily destroyed by her anymore. Even if I had really done this, Victor wouldn't do anything to me. I was no longer someone who could be easily framed like in my past life. You can't just listen to her words alone. Victor turned to me. Sister, what happened here? I rubbed my temples, pretending to be confused. Just now this classmate Gu suddenly ran over and told me, don't even think about stealing all of Victor's fortune. I'll make him fight back. Then she shouted your name and fell down the stairs herself. How strange. She likes to falsely accuse others. Then I'll let her taste that feeling too. Hearing me say this, the guests began to whisper and discuss. What an idiot. Using this trick to frame Serena Chen. Idiot. I think she's quite clever. Look at how she wants to take everything. She's definitely with Victor for his money. Victor recalled his earlier conversation with Jolene, his expression gradually darkening. Clearly he believed what I said. Jolene froze for a moment, then widened her eyes and shouted angrily, I didn't say that. Don't falsely accuse me. She turned to Victor with teary eyes, as if deeply wounded. Victor, what I said is true. Believe me. Seeing her like this, Victor hesitated slightly, the scale in his heart beginning to tilt toward her. I curled my lips in a smile. There's a security camera on the staircase. Whether I pushed you or you fell down yourself will be clear when we check. A camera? There's a camera? Jolene finally panicked. Her hand gripped Victor's clothes, her knuckles turning pale. No matter how slow Victor was to understand, seeing her reaction was enough to figure everything out. His face full of disappointment, he pushed her away. Jolene, you've disappointed me so much. I thought you were different from other girls. Turns out that's not the case at all. Let me explain. I just didn't want you to be disadvantaged. Watching Victor's departing figure, Jolene desperately cried out, but Victor didn't turn back. Jolene glared at me furiously. Why did you frame me? I calmly replied, that question I should be asking you. The guests around began to speak up in my defense. This girl still has the nerve to ask, wasn't it she who framed Serena? This really opens my eyes. I've seen shameless people before, but never anyone as shameless as her. She probably did plenty of things like this before. Consider it karma coming back around. She deserves it. As those words rang out, Jolene's face alternated between pale and flushed. She no longer had the courage to confront me. She pushed through the crowd and left like a drowned rat. After the drama ended, the guests consoled me with a few words and gradually left. I turned to go back upstairs, but had just arrived when I saw Marcus hurrying down. His face showed clear excitement. The scars on his face seemed to twist, making his expression even more frightening. I turned to ask Mrs. Wang, who was walking behind him. Mrs. Wang, what was he doing upstairs just now? Mrs. Wang bowed her head slightly, looking apologetic. I'm sorry, miss. I couldn't keep track of him. Madam called me down to attend to guests. By the time I finished, I found him on the second floor. But I don't know what he did. I waved my hand. It's fine, just continue with your work. 3 days later, Marcus came to our house again. At that time, my whole family was having a meal. As soon as my parents saw his face, they turned away with disgust. What are you doing here? Don't chase me away. I have something very important to tell you, uncle and aunt. Marcus handed my parents a folder of documents. Please look at this first, uncle and aunt. My parents impatiently opened the folder. When they clearly saw the contents inside, their expressions immediately changed. How can this be? How could you be our biological son? Victor leaned over to look, then laughed coldly. Marcus, do you think my parents are stupid enough to believe this stuff? You're truly evil. Just because I took your childhood, sweetheart, you want to steal my parents too. The document Marcus presented was a DNA test report. It clearly stated that Marcus and my parents had a biological relationship, while Victor had no blood connection with them whatsoever. I finally understood what Marcus had done in my parents' room the other day. It turned out he had secretly taken their hair to quietly get a DNA test. Facing the questioning, Marcus calmly took out a childhood photo of himself and a photo of Vincent when he was young. Here's the evidence. My parents looked at the two photos. Their hands began to tremble. The image of young Marcus looked exactly like my father, while young Vincent's features somewhat resembled the current Victor. Combined with the DNA test report, it was hard not to think something. These photos are definitely photoshopped. Victor stepped back 2 paces, shouting excitedly. They must be photoshopped. Mom and Dad won't be foolish enough to believe him, right? My father said coldly, "What's the truth? I'll investigate thoroughly." He turned to Marcus, his voice gentler than before. "Give me a few strands of your hair, then the driver will take you home." Mom, Dad, you two believe Marcus, just because of a few papers and 2 photos. Victor looked at them with deep hurt. You two have disappointed me so much. He felt betrayed, mixed with unclear fear in his heart. Victor ran upstairs and slammed the door shut. Even by evening, he still hadn't come down to eat. The mother who always doted on him was coldly indifferent for the first time, not calling him down. The next day, Victor returned from school covered in injuries. I frowned and asked, "Who bullied you?" Victor was full of anger. "All of them bullied me. Those opportunistic people somehow heard that I'm not Mom and Dad's biological son, so they all trampled on me. There were too many, I couldn't fight back." His eyes were full of hatred. "Those opportunistic bastards. I treated them too well before. This was within my expectations." Victor was used to being arrogant at school. His classmates didn't dare confront him because his family was wealthy. Now, when there were rumors he was the son of a murderer, those who never liked him or whom he had bullied would naturally seek revenge. Speaking up, Victor began to pour out everything. Jolene got together with Marcus too. She mocked me as a cuckoo taking over the nest. She never loved me, only dated me because I had money. His voice gradually lowered. Even Mom and Dad. Yesterday, when I passed by their office, I heard them say Marcus is definitely their biological son. They even said I'm stupid, nothing like them at all. They seemed very happy that Marcus studies well. They also said they'd wait for tomorrow's DNA test results to come back, then teach me a lesson. Serves me right. Marcus suffered so much living with the Lee family, so I should suffer a little pain too. Sister, I'm done for. Victor gritted his teeth. But I truly won't accept this. His eyes blazed with anger. With just a small spark, he would explode. I lowered my gaze, hiding the deep emotions in my heart. Mom and Dad were just confused by Marcus. Once the DNA test results come out, everyone will naturally shut up. What if? I'm just saying, what if? Victor looked at me probingly. What if I'm really not Mom and Dad's biological son? Victor. I looked straight into his eyes, seriously saying, "In my eyes, you'll always be my brother. Even if your worst fear happens and Mom and Dad no longer care about you, I'll still take care of you." Really? Victor was half believing, as if weighing something. "Can I really trust you?" I asked back, "Have I ever lied to you?" Victor moved his lips but said nothing more. Victor's relieved mood only lasted until before dinner. When he entered the living room, he saw Marcus and Jolene. My parents seemed to firmly believe Marcus was the biological son swapped years ago, so they invited him to dinner, and Marcus even brought Jolene along. The moment he saw them, Victor froze as if stunned. He gritted his teeth and asked, "What are you two doing here?" "Your parents invited me to dinner. I happened to bring Jolene along." Marcus smiled. "Is there a problem? Seems like your parents already believe I'm the biological child they lost in the swap." Jolene chimed in, "What do you mean seems? You were always the young master of the Chen family." As for Victor, she laughed mockingly. Once he leaves the Chen family, he's nothing but a useless person. Dating someone like him is the biggest regret of my life. Victor's veins bulged on his forehead, his fists clenched. Shut up. Jolene shrank back slightly. Marcus pulled her into his arms. Jolene, don't be afraid. He's the one who should be afraid. He looked at Victor, his eyes full of unconcealed malice. Victor, your family made me like this. I definitely won't forgive them. My parents won't forgive them either. Wait until the DNA test results are announced. Your good days will be over. All the suffering I endured, I'll return 100, 1,000 times over. Victor, both angry and scared, rushed at Marcus to fight. At that moment, my parents and I were discussing business in the study. My parents said Marcus had great potential. They decided to hand the company over to him to manage, while I just needed to focus on my studies and not worry about company matters anymore. From the moment Marcus appeared with the DNA report, I had anticipated this decision. In their eyes, sons were always more important than daughters. I remained calm, only responding, yes, all right. When we heard loud noises from downstairs, we hurried down to look. Seeing the two of them fighting, my parents quickly pulled them apart. Quick, get the first aid kit. My mother touched the wound at the corner of Marcus's mouth, her voice full of heartache. Mom. Victor shouted. Mom, look at me. I'm hurt much worse than Marcus. My mother said coldly. You deserve it. Marcus is so well behaved. You must have started it. My father echoed, always causing trouble. Don't know who you take after. Their disgusted looks at Victor were obvious, without any concealment. Mom, Dad. Pain, fear, and hatred mixed on Victor's face, finally erupting into a blazing fire in his eyes. He left one sentence, you'll regret this. Then slammed the door and left. I'll go find him. I was about to chase after him, but my father stopped me. Don't spoil him. Right after, my parents continued enthusiastically entertaining Marcus and Jolene for the meal, not caring at all where Victor had gone. During the meal, they discussed tomorrow's plan to go together to receive the DNA test results. I said I had class tomorrow and couldn't go with them. My mother nodded without forcing me. Her attention was now completely focused on Marcus. I lowered my head and texted the bodyguards to continue following Victor closely. Ever since Marcus brought the DNA report to our house, I had carefully arranged for someone to monitor Victor. I noticed he was both angry at our parents because of their changed attitude and afraid. Frightened people tend to either avoid or take extreme action. Clearly Victor belonged to the second type. After dinner, I went to the restroom. When I stepped out, I saw Marcus and Jolene blocking my way. Sister, you hate me, don't you? Since I appeared, Mom and Dad wanted to give all the fortune to me. It was Marcus speaking, but he seemed not to need my answer. I hate you too. When I was 10 years old, if you hadn't fallen down, my parents would have caught me. I look so much like my father. Dad would surely have recognized I was the biological son who was swapped. I raised my eyebrows slightly. Unexpectedly, he still clearly remembered everything that happened 7 years ago, even remembering the details. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have suffered this much. Marcus pointed at his face. Back then you told Miranda she had to discipline me strictly, to avoid me making mistakes that would let my parents discover the truth. Just a few days later, she splashed hot oil on my face, disfiguring me, to the point that when I stood before my parents, they couldn't recognize me. He continued, I think you definitely recognized I was the biological brother who was swapped. But to seize the fortune, you chose to leave me with the Lee family. After all, my parents would never let a fool like Victor inherit the fortune. Seeing I remained calm, his eyes filled with hatred. You didn't expect this, did you? Even heaven couldn't accept it, so it let me discover my true identity and return to the Chen family. Rest assured, all the suffering I endured, I'll repay you 1,000 times over. I clapped mockingly. With such reasoning skills, why don't you write detective novels? Blaming me for falling down. Why don't you blame the Lee family for swapping you? Step back. Why don't you blame yourself for stealing Victor's things and running away? Let me tell you, all the suffering you endured, you deserved it. How ridiculous. In my past life when I helped him, he wasn't the least bit grateful. In this life when I stood by and watched, he blamed me. Truly despicable. Sister. Marcus gritted his teeth, veins bulging on his forehead. Keep being stubborn. When I inherit the fortune, you'll pay the price. He hurried away, afraid I would say something more to drive him crazy. Jolene slowly followed a few steps behind him, lowering her voice to say to me, Serena, last time you made me lose face. When I become Marcus's wife, I won't let you off. After they left far away, I withdrew my gaze and texted Victor, "It's dangerous outside. Come home early. No matter what tomorrow's DNA test results are, you'll always be my brother." Just seconds later, Victor called back. On the other end, he was silent for a long time before finally saying, "Sister, tomorrow don't go with them to receive the DNA test results." After saying that, he hung up. I looked at the darkened phone screen, lost in thought. As usual, I went to the university early in the morning to study, but during class, I received a call from the police. My parents, along with Marcus and Jolene, had been in an accident. On the way to get the DNA test results, Miranda drove a large truck and crashed straight into their car. My parents died on the spot, while Marcus and Jolene were severely injured and were currently being treated at the hospital. The police immediately arrested Miranda. She confessed to her crime, saying she had been careless and dozed off while driving, accidentally causing the accident. She was willing to accept legal punishment. No, Miranda did this because of Victor. I detailed the recent conflicts between the two families to the police. The rest I left for them to handle. During deeper investigation, the police discovered Miranda and Victor had been in close contact over the past 2 days. After recovering the deleted messages between them, they clarified the whole truth. It turned out this accident was planned by Victor and Miranda together. On the night Marcus brought the DNA report to our house, Victor had sought out Miranda to confirm the truth. Unwilling to lose his wealthy lifestyle, Victor persuaded her to help him deal with my entire family. Initially, Miranda hesitated, but when she saw Victor appear at her doorstep the next day, his whole body covered in injuries, she finally decided to act. The truck accident was the result of that decision. Finally, the police caught Victor at the hospital. When he learned Marcus and Jolene weren't dead, Victor took advantage of visiting them to secretly inject poison into their IV drips. Jolene was killed by him. Marcus was fortunately saved thanks to timely discovery. After Victor was arrested, I visited him once. Victor broke down and asked me, "Sister, even though I killed Mom and Dad, I also indirectly helped you inherit the entire fortune. Why did you have me caught by the police? I never planned to harm you. That day I even reminded you not to go out with Mom and Dad. Really didn't plan to harm me. If I hadn't texted to comfort you that day, would you have called to warn me?" I calmly looked at him and shook my head. "Because if I died, the entire fortune would be yours, and no one would discover you weren't Mom and Dad's biological son." Victor fell silent. Initially, his plan was to eliminate everyone who knew the truth. But because I kept assuring him that even if he wasn't Mom and Dad's biological son, I would still treat him well, he changed his mind. After all, Victor was just like my biological brother in my past life, both selfish people. A moment later, Victor suddenly burst into tears. "Sister, I know I was wrong. You've treated me the best. Can you hire a good lawyer to help me escape the death penalty?" He covered his face, crying miserably. But I suddenly remembered how in my past life he had arrogantly humiliated me for Jolene without mercy, even cruelly hiring thugs to assault me. That was truly a long, bitter nightmare. Now, watching him like a worm drowning in mud, unable to raise his head, I suddenly realized that nightmare had finally ended. I stood up, my voice cold. "You should have been in prison long ago. Spend your next life atoning for your sins." Victor was stunned. "What do you mean?" I didn't answer, turned and walked away. Behind me was Victor's vicious screaming. "Serena, I shouldn't have been soft-hearted. I should have killed you. It was you who caused me to send my biological father to prison, caused me to end up like this." He frantically smashed the glass wall, but was quickly restrained by the prison guards. In truth, even if Victor hadn't been soft-hearted, I wouldn't have died. I always had bodyguards monitoring him and knew exactly what he planned to do. I even accelerated everything. The news about Victor not being my father's biological son, I had someone post it on the school's anonymous forum. Inviting Marcus and Jolene to our house for dinner was also my idea. Being beaten at school, receiving cold treatment from our parents at home, bit by bit the pressure weighed on Victor, finally driving him to the extreme path. And I finally achieved my goal. Those who had hurt, even killed me in my past life, all met bad ends. Half a year later, Marcus finally woke from his coma, but he became disabled, paralyzed from the neck down, able only to lie in bed for the rest of his life. As soon as he woke, he demanded to see me. When he saw me, Marcus furiously questioned me. "Serena, I had a dream. In the dream, you stopped Vincent from swapping me. I was the young master of the Chen family, loved by everyone, living happily my whole life. My intuition tells me that should have been my real life. Why didn't you bring me back? Why did you let me become like this? He truly dreamed of my past life. Because you once said you didn't need me to save you. Someone as excellent as you, even raised in a murderous family, would live very well. I smiled. I only did as you wished. You should thank me. Thank you. Do you know how I lived with the Lee family? Beaten by Miranda, disfigured by her, frequently starving. He listed Miranda's crimes one by one. I replied indifferently, "Oh, then it's because you weren't excellent enough." With anger, Marcus's face turned bright red. "Serena, you did this on purpose, didn't you? You deliberately let me slowly die." "That's right, I did it on purpose. Am I supposed to be a saint? Thanks to you, I suffered so much in my past life and was eventually killed by you. Should I be grateful?" I curled my lips mockingly. "The last words you said to me in my past life were, 'An ugly creature like you getting disfigured is exactly what you deserve. What you did is worthy of the pain you must endure.' Now I return those words to you. Just lie on this bed and slowly rot away." After that, Marcus went insane. He muttered all day that he shouldn't have been like this, and tried many times to commit suicide to be reborn and change his fate. But unfortunately, he could only move his head. Even wanting to die, he couldn't. In the end, I sent him to a psychiatric facility. I wouldn't let him die. For people like him, living was the greatest punishment. After meeting Marcus, I no longer dreamed of nightmares related to my past life, perhaps because I clearly knew those people from the past could no longer harm me. Since being reborn, the dark clouds hanging over my head had finally dissipated. I had truly been reborn. From here on out, my life would be a wide open road. Thank you for staying with Garden Story throughout today's tale. If this story brought you value or inspiration, please consider leaving a like or a comment. It's the most practical way to help us continue creating high-quality stories every day. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll always be the first to hear our next story.